Welcome to Endurance Noise Daily. I'm your host, Danny Noise, and here is Endurance Noise for Saturday, August 22nd, 2020. Here in Bakersfield, California, it's awfully smoky. There's fires all over California, including with hot temperatures. So definitely stay inside. I went out this morning trying to do a 12-hour race that I've been doing, virtual race, but I abandoned it after 5 hours, got about 15 miles, and decided it wasn't worth the health risk, because my first rule always is to stay healthy. So 20 years ago, I used to run all the time, and we didn't have this kind of crazy weather, but the fires are just keeping getting worse and worse and worse. Speaking of back in the day, 40 years ago on this day, mountaineering great Reinhold Messner shocked the climbing community and the world when he summited Everest alone and without supplemental oxygen. Wow, all the way in August 22nd he did it. At the time, people accepted that it was physically possible to do it, but to do it alone was to court almost certain death. And Messner went anyways. At one point during the climb, he slipped and fell into a crevice. With no one to assist him, it was climb out or die. Where might maybe turn back after a music cue like that, he just kept going. He arrived on the Tibetan side, climbing a route that had been unclimbed sections ascending Everest below its northeast ridge. Says he was exhausted at the summit, that I just let myself fall in the snow and dozed off. Fortunately, after an hour of puffing, that's all it was, I had the strength to get up and to descend. Wow. It seems that a drunk came down from a coal and not the same man who left 4 days ago, said his girlfriend at the time. He looks at me with tears in his eyes, his face is yellow, his lips are chapped and frayed. For Reinhold, the rest of the mountaineering world, his mind-blowing feat was proof there was still adventure to be had on Everest, even as late as 1980. Yeah, that was a long time ago. 1981 is when I graduated from high school. So now people still try to do it. Not a whole lot of people are successful, because basically after 26,000, you're in the death zone. Speaking about one of the fires, my friends, unfortunately, right now, who were planning on doing the High Sierra hike, I was going to do it, but I've been having some issues ever since I had my fall, and with the congestive heart failure, I just can't seem to climb. So I wasn't going to go, but right now it's so smoky and there's so many fires that we may not be doing the hike, unfortunately. And I kind of saw this article that was pretty interesting, talking about lightning issues and stuff in the mountains, and it's a link in my Patreon page. If you go there, you can check it out. But it says in the Sierras, one can experience prolonged dry and sunny stretches of weather, but monsoon circulation sometimes shifts farther west, and when this happens, thunderstorms become very common along the Sierra Nevada crest in particular. And I've always gone by the fact that, you shouldn't try and summit in the afternoons, that the weather always turns bad, and you definitely seem to get thunderstorms and stuff. And when I've been up there, whenever I have gotten rained on, it's always been late afternoon. And of course the lightning, and with these 11, 12, 13,000 foot passes, it's definitely scary. It says that these patterns, often storms, are very slow moving and hang over the high peaks for long periods of time. I know when I hiked out to get my friends who decided to bail on the John Muir Trail a few years ago, we came out of Onion Valley over Kearsarge Pass, and the clouds just got blacker and blacker, and thankfully got over before it started really lightning and thunder. But on the way down, we got rained on and hail. And I just had a friend the other day who was up at Mount Pinus, which was only 9,000 feet, and experienced the same sort of thing. So please be careful out there. On this day, way back in 1962, a year before I was born, Jim Beatty, 3 days after setting his outdoor U.S. record, broke his 356.3 with a 356.3, actually 356.5. So he broke it 2 times in 3 days. That's the shortest time span for the USA record. Today, or actually, I think it's today or this weekend, there's going to be some more American inner squad type of races. I think all the stars like Emma Colburn, Stephanie Bruce, and other people are going to be running like 800-meter races. It's kind of cool. They're almost kind of following like a track, high school track kind of thing, where they're running a lot of inter squad, small meets, and moving around distance, not just sticking to their main ones. And Stephanie Bruce, who runs for Hoka, is a marathoner. She's been PRing at distances. I think I saw her. She's going to run a 5K tonight and try and go for her record. But she ran a really fast mile the other day, proving that, it's all about putting in the miles and putting in the training, and you can PR later on in life. And she says, the trend of being very good at running, entertaining, and motivating while influencing your fans and audience to buy the shoes of your sponsors and represent your brand while it competes. That's what's kind of a job now, being a pro runner, is you've got all those things. She runs for Hoka 1-1. And then Hanson Projects posted a thing about what I've been doing quite a bit. People get kind of locked into a 7-day training week, and Hansen proposes a 9-day week, which they've been using for 20 years. And their week says definitely would work with this pandemic kind of lifestyle. Day 1, do a long run. 2 and 3 recovery day. Day 4 workout. Day 5 and 6 recovery. Day 7 workout. 8 and 9 recovery, back to the top. And it's basically traditional schedules seem to always want to run like Tuesday hard, easy, Wednesday hard, Thursday, then something on Saturday with 1 day. And I think it's much better to do a 2-day recovery between hard workouts. And I've actually bumped it up to where I'm doing 3 days. So I go easy 3 days, 1 day hard, easy 3 days, 1 day hard. And what happens too is then the hard day kind of moves around. It's different days of the week, which I kind of like. And then, of course, I've started back up my Bakersfield Distance Project. So if you're in Bakersfield or coming through, we'll be meeting Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. at Beach Park. I even went out the other day with the terrible smoke, and it actually rained on us. And then Saturdays and Sundays we'll try and meet up too. I'm definitely trying to get back into doing some faster racing, doing some shorter stuff like half marathons and below, and also working with my Newton Racing, which I really trying to promote weight classes in racing. And I'll be talking more about that in a future podcast. Jonathan Gault, I'm already talking about big time marathons that are coming up. They were talking about that the Marine Corps Marathon, I guess, is still going to happen with their 20,000 runners in Washington, D.C. in October. It hasn't been canceled yet, which is interesting. But he was talking more about London, and I'll definitely be going over their article about the London Marathon and what's going to happen there. But Galen Rupp's coach, Mike Smith, who coaches at Northern Arizona, says he's not running London. Said he felt it was more important to rebuild his speed post-Achilles injury. He's doing 5K, 10K work. He hasn't been able to do since 2018 that he wouldn't have had time if the Olympics were this summer. So, of course, Galen Rupp made our Olympic team, and it'll be interesting to see how he does in Japan in next year, if they seem to happen it. And then to end this podcast, Mark Remy always provides some humor. He says, in case you miss it, number of running podcasts surpasses number of actual runners. And that may be true. Thank you for listening. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Let's not let YouTube get all the money. It'd be nice. I used to have a monetized channel, but then they bumped it to 1,000 subscribers. And it takes quite a while to get to 1,000 subscribers. But I'll still be doing this even if I don't get the 1,000 subscribers. And if you're on my podcast and you only listen to podcasts, thank you for being there. And please consider supporting that podcast and or giving it a rating on Apple and whatnot. So as always, stay healthy, be boring, not epic.